It is. It is. It is 5:33. It's time to begin the Salt Lake City Planning Division Historic Landmark Commission meeting this evening, 1st of June. Let's go in order, please. Let's see here. First item.
Minutes.
We'll have an approval of the minutes from the 5th of May. Can I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the minutes for the 5th of May,
Very good.
2022.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Kenton, thank you very much. We have a motion and an approval. So the meeting minutes, I think we need to vote. Babs?
Aye.
Let's see, Kenton? What's that?
You have to put it right in your mouth.
Doggone, I can't get it any closer. There you go. All right, Kenton, aye. Mike, since there's only 5 of us, I'm voting this evening as a quorum. Carlton?
Aye.
And Amanda?
I did have a comment in the minutes.
You did have a comment?
There's an incomplete sentence regarding my statement regarding the roof line. Oh.
Very good. So Kenton, since you had a motion, is this an acceptable motion?
Yes, it is.
Very good. All right. So then the minutes are approved as noted. Next is a report of the chair. I do not have any items this evening. Vice Chair?
None, thank you.
Very well. And then we go to the report
Mike?
of the director.
Could I ask something of the director, maybe as part of just the general? I saw that there's some possible updates to the ADU ordinance coming along that could affect us. Where does the city stand on that?
We haven't posted on our website the proposed changes. And the Planning Commission, can you hear me, Amanda?
Oh, there are some proposed updates to the accessory dwelling unit ordinance that are posted on the website, but I was just wondering when they'll take effect and when we might start seeing projects coming before
Step back.
HLC.
I'm not sure we all know about that, so can you give us a little 411?
Yes, definitely. So we've probably had 2 text amendments in the last 5 or 6 years for ADUs, or accessory dwelling units. They've been allowed citywide. We haven't seen, hundreds of them built. You've seen some as part of new construction, if you recall those. There was a petition initiated by the Planning Commission to clarify some language with regard to ADUs and the text of ADUs. We've also received, obviously feedback from the development community or homeowners with just some code strangeness or issues that we had. So the Planning Commission initiated a petition to do a text amendment to make some minor tweaks to the ADU code. Those are actually posted on our website right now. So ADUs, proposed changes.
Okay.
And City Council also discussed ADUs when we gave an ADU report to the council, and our direction was like, yes, let's move forward. Let's remove the conditional use process for ADUs. They've been going to Planning Commission with really not much changing with regard to that process. Let's make them quicker, easier to build, look at clarifying language. One thing that council brought up was activating alleyways, that they wanted to see some design considerations if there were ADUs at the back of a lot, looking at entrances and lighting just to help activate alleys and remove the conditional use process. Those are kind of the big things there, and some minor tweaks. So that proposed code was put on our website maybe 2 weeks ago. And we can go ahead and send that out to you in an email too, if you'd like to just peruse it. It's still allowed in local historic districts. We still have review of ADUs, so that hasn't necessarily changed. But removing the conditional use process is a big one in single-family zoning districts, and allowing ADUs to be built in spaces or on lots where it wasn't previously allowed to be built. Like, for example, if an underlying zoning district allows, maybe there's a business there and they have extra space on that lot, and that underlying zoning district allows residential, that one can actually build an ADU on that lot. So to just kind of open it up for more options other than just residential zoning districts. So if an underlying zoning district allows residential, yes, that's a possibility that one can go ahead and have an ADU without the owner occupancy in that particular state.
I remember several times in planning that we came across people living in a commercial project where they were kind of caretakers
Right,
that needed to be there. And
Right.
just the rules were just incredibly
right,
opposed to that. That's great.
right. And so that's included in that proposal as well.
This is proposed. When will they, what's the timing on it? When will they vote?
It will go to Planning Commission. They can't actually make a decision for 45 days, so we're just taking in input. We have the actual draft code there with some goals that we got from Planning Commission and from City Council, and so we're just taking input on that proposal.
Great.
Are the reduced
Here.
setbacks still part of that?
Depending on where it is located, the ADU, like where it's at in an alley, yeah, we did play around with setbacks a little bit.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I was curious for that, but also the activating the alley aspect, where if that's happening in historic district, we might be looking at otherwise facades that we wouldn't be too worried about. Now, it might come around the back now.
Yeah,
So,
yes,
Right.
definitely. So thanks for bringing that up.
thank you.
That's wonderful.
So, Michaela, did you have any other report?
I did. I had 2 other things to report on that I'm really excited to tell you about from our last meeting. I don't know if you saw, but the mayor did put out a press release for Preservation Month. So that was executed. That was something that you all asked us to work with the mayor's office on. So I'm happy about that. You had also asked us to look into notification for property owners and properties in our local historic districts, right? And our graphic designer, who's amazing, Brian Maya, actually put together a postcard for each specific district, like welcome to Central City, or welcome to the Avenues, or you're in the Avenues. And there's a QR code, there's a reminder on the postcard that exterior changes need to come to the commission, but we also created a landing page off of that postcard for just other questions that come up, whether you're a new property owner or
What's the landing page?
on our website. Can I send that to you right after this? Just a sec. My computer is moving super slowly today. I can find it and announce it
Yeah, send it to us.
in a little bit if
Yep.
you want. That just kind of goes over exterior alterations and what our review is. I made sure that there was a sentence or 2 in there regarding windows and brick painting, just because those are kind of the big things that you all see as far as enforcement cases. Yes,
And roof areas?
yes.
Good.
And just like, this is how you contact staff, there are tax incentives, we're here for you, give us a ring.
So is
Just
that,
like
is
basic
that going to
info.
be annually that gets sent back out? Because people buy and sell homes, so whenever a new homeowner, that's in the packet.
I think that we can send them out. Well, we discussed last time, whatever we decide to send out to notify folks, should we do it quarterly? Should we do it every year, a couple times a year? I guess we haven't decided on that. We just sent out our first round based on the ask from the commission. But if you have more input on that, and we'll go ahead and send you the proofs for those so that you can see them, because they're catchy, I guess. They're very attractive, and hopefully, if you have any comments about them, please do.
No, that's very good news. That is.
Okay. So we'll see if it's effective. I hope so, but if not, even if someone, I mean, we'll still see enforcement cases, but if it provides the public some local pride for their actual district and just a landing page that, hey, we have these experts at the city that can come out and help advise us on a project we may or may not want to do, then that would be stellar.
Me personally, I would think that annually would probably be enough. More than that on a yearly basis, I think that might be excessive, but once a year probably, in my opinion, would take care of who people need to contact if they have questions.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, now we'll move to public comments. I believe we have a public comment. Cindy Cromer?
For the second hearing.
The second hearing. Okay, very good. Did we receive any other public comments? No, we did not. Thank you very much. All right, so let's begin the public hearings part. We have two cases, two issues to review this evening. A minor alteration addition at approximately 541 North, 200 West. A minor change or that's asked for. Let's have that. There we go.
Good evening, Commission. I took over this project for Caitlin. She has actually moved on to a planning position up in Park City. So this is a request from Gary Van Branken for, he's the owner of the property, for a certificate of appropriateness to remove an existing porch on the rear of the structure and construct a new 3-story addition onto the rear of his property at approximately 641 North 200 West. The subject house is identified as a contributing structure in the 2006 Capitol Hill Reconnaissance Level Survey. And the structure is a Victorian eclectic style 1.5-story brick residence that was constructed in 1879. The roof pitch of the existing structure is much steeper than the roof of the proposed addition, which will be a 412 pitch. The roof of the proposed addition is designed to appear like a dormer and to be compatible with an existing dormer that's on the south side of the structure. The applicant's requesting 2 modifications as part of this certificate of appropriateness related to height. The first is for overall building height, and the second is for wall height. The proposed materials for the addition are concrete for the basement level, brick veneer for the second level, smooth hardy board siding, and hardy shake for the third floor. Double hung windows proposed for the side elevations north and south, and casement windows and a picture window are proposed on the rear elevation of the addition. A white EPDM rubber roofing materials proposed for the addition. Information submitted by the applicant is located in attachment C and D of the staff report. Staff is recommending approval in part and denial in part. We are recommending approval for the addition and including the additional building height and wall height, and denial for the proposed EPDM roofing material. This slide shows the existing rear of the subject property and the proposed rear elevation of the addition. And this slide shows the north elevation of the property. There are currently slider windows shown on the drawings, but the materials the applicant submitted indicated that those windows would be double hung. Staff has recommended that final details regarding the proposal be delegated to planning staff, and that would include windows and placement of those. These slides show the context of the west side of 200 West. The property is somewhat hidden in the trees, so it's identified by the red arrows. But that's the north section of 200 West and the south section of 200 West related to the subject property. All the structures surrounding the site are identified as contributing structures in the survey. In terms of key considerations, staff looked at the height modifications. If you visit the site, and you can see from some of the photographs, the site slopes down substantially towards the rear of the property. So staff is of the opinion that the modifications for additional height are compatible with the existing structure and the site in terms of massing and scale. Although the proposed roof slope of the addition is much less steep than the existing roof to provide for adequate living and headspace for the residential dwellings, staff's of the opinion that the addition as viewed from the public way is designed to appear like dormers, and it will not have a negative impact on the integrity of the historic house. Viewing the west rear elevation of the plan, the overall height of the addition is approximately 5 feet lower than the top of the existing roof and is designed to be subordinate to the existing structure. In regards to the proposed roofing material, the applicant has indicated that they would like to use the EPDM roofing material on the addition because of the longevity of the warranty. Staff's of the opinion that the rubber roofing material may not be readily visible as viewed just head-on from the front of the property, but would be visible from the right-of-way at the south and northeast corners of the property. And it would be a negative contrast to the existing gray asphalt shingles on the structure. It would also not be compatible with the existing roofing material, which have a uniform texture, pattern, and profile. And staff found that the proposed roofing material failed to comply with all the applicable standards of approval for a certificate of appropriateness. In regards to the standards for a COA, staff did find that the proposal, with the exception of the roofing material as mentioned, does comply with the standards for a certificate of appropriateness. Notice of the public hearing was mailed out to residents and property owners within 300 feet. There was also a public notice sign posted on the property. As of today, staff has not received any public comments in regards to the proposal. And again, staff is recommending approval in part and denial in part, approval for the addition with the exception or denial for the proposed rubber roofing material. The approval does include modifications for building and wall height. I do have a sample of the proposed rubber roofing material that the applicant provided. I'll hand to Kenton to pass it around. And I'm able to answer questions, and the applicant is also here.
Amy, what is the existing roofing material?
It's asphalt shingle.
Asphalt shingles.
Yeah.
And what's
Yes.
the slope of the proposed roof on which the EPDM would be applied?
On the plans that the applicant submitted, it's shown as a 412 pitch.
Okay.
We did contact building code, just as a side note, because we were under the impression that it could only be installed on a flat roof. And Salt Lake City Building Services informed us that they would go off of the manufacturer's requirements for maximum slope installation. And we tried to contact the manufacturer, and they did not provide us with actual specifications in terms of what slope the material could be applied to, a maximum slope, but they did indicate that potentially the warranty could be voided if it was installed on a roof that was not flat.
Okay.
And we did discuss that with the applicant prior to coming here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions for staff? All right.
I'm assuming that the white was preferred over the black for reflectivity, because it seems like black wouldn't be quite as noticeable as the stark white.
I'm not exactly sure on the color preference, but the applicant could probably answer that.
I think I can answer that in that whenever we've used our EPDM on any of our projects, they're usually flat. It's the white surface up. not the black. I don't believe it's reversible.
Oh, okay.
And Kenton,
Oh,
I think that's...
I saw
yeah,
that there were two options
No.
on the specs.
okay. Any other questions? All right, very well. Let's hear from the applicant, please.
No, I'm sorry, I'm a little hard of hearing, but I didn't hear any of that at all. Does everybody else hear what they're saying?
I'm also having a hard time hearing you guys. If you could please,
The acoustics in the room are really difficult.
I'm answering, but I'm happy to
Okay,
answer.
let me review, and I think I can answer those. I think
follow this,
Kenton,
and I think I understand where it's at, so
Uh,
if you ask me your questions, I can.
okay. Kenton asked the question concerning what was the existing roofing prior on the existing roof, and it was asphalt, or excuse me, the asphalt shingles are predominantly used. That
Yeah,
was
it's all asphalt shingle except for the dormers, and that's rolled asphalt.
right. And then the second question had to do with, was it white or black? And I answered the question that I believe that in the EPDM roofs that we have used architecturally, they have been white. It's not white or black, it's the white surface is up.
Have black, but the white is guaranteed for life. And if you've done enough, you know that flat roof, it's almost impossible to keep it from leaking with asphalt rolled roofing or.
Well, I won't comment on a warranty for life.
That's why it was white, that's the one that's guaranteed for life.
Fair enough. I think the time is yours to make your presentation, sir.
Say that again?
The time is yours to make your presentation.
Well, you saw what the back porch looks like. It's it doesn't have a foundation under it. I've wanted to fix this thing I've owned the property for over 40 years, and so, I feel like I'm in a position I can take it down and improve the neighborhood, and I've always tried to take good care of my property, so. And so I'm kind of in a dilemma. If I can come out with the height of the building, the height that it is, then I have enough pitch. I can use shingled, asphalt shingles. I've got enough pitch that'll work, but they want me to match the dormer that comes out, that comes down a little bit lower, and it makes the pitch about a 2.5 or 2.3, so it's 2.12. And I've been fighting that dormer to the south side. In fact, the person that lives in that upstairs apartment can verify this. I just can't keep it. I've re-roofed it several times, and it works for a couple of years, but then every year I go up there with tar, and it's getting scarier and scarier for me to be on that steep, it's a 12-12, the regular roof, and it lasts forever. And so I either, if I can discontinue the height of the building out to the west and use that slope, then I can do the shingles. But if I have to go down to the lower height, I haven't got enough pitch that it makes sense to use asphalt shingles, and that's from experience. For 40 years, I've been up on that roof, over 22 of them, to tar or to tear the roof off and re-roof it, and it's just not worth it. If you have a flat roof, I'm sure you've fought the same thing if you've been in construction or you're an architect. Is that right? So you probably understand. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm stuck. I either need to come out and keep the pitch so that I can have the height to put shingles on, or use something that'll work. That's really where I'm at. I'm not fighting. I like the area, and I want to keep improving it.
All right, questions?
Yeah, could you put drawings up on the screen there? Give us a cross-section or give us a side view, because we've been told now that the roof slope is 4 12, and we've also heard it's 2.5 12. And that makes a big difference in what kind of roofing material can go on there.
Is the pitch?
Yeah. Because if it's 412, you can do asphalt. If it's less than 312, you shouldn't.
Yeah, well, it's about, if at existing height, it's,
So this is just a screenshot of the plans. I don't have the plans actually uploaded on this computer, but it shows that it's a 412. Is that what you were asking for?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand.
12 if I can extend the pitch out. I've got I can show you the numbers if you.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand when you say if you could go with the dormer versus having to go to the lower roof. And I apologize for not having the drawings myself.
No, that's okay. They should be in the staff report, too. Let me see if I can.
Well, besides being late, I'm unprepared.
You see the peak behind that little back porch? You can kind of see it. It's just come out straight with that, is what I'm requesting.
Yeah, if you could go back to those drawings, I think it's on the second sheet. You show the front elevation, and then I think the dormer that, sir, that you're speaking of is the rear west view.
But, no, it's the dormer that one isn't heated that you see in that, that's
he's
off to
talking
the
about
west.
this roof
The
right
dormer I'm talking about is to the south.
That's what I'm asking her.
That's over her bedroom.
Okay, there you go. Up, no, go up.
Did you not want me to go to the
I
plan
think you,
set?
It's actually the one off to the west.
So this dormer right here
Yeah.
is existing.
That's the one that, it's heated, so I have a real hard time keeping it from leaking. I don't have nearly as hard a time on the back porch because it's not heated.
okay, can you go to the west elevation then? Because in the staff report, that elevation is visible from two directions.
Are we talking still about the roof?
Mm-hmm.
It's all original. The only thing that's been, well, that's not true either.
So this elevation west, this would be how it would look if you were standing on the back of the house.
Right?
It would be, where I think it would be visible would be like this corner. So the addition would come back here, and this is where you can see the site sloping towards the rear. Does that make sense?
Amy, on that west elevation, would you go back to that again, please, and run your cursor over where the EPDM roof would be seen in that view?
So I don't think it would be super visible from this view. This is standing at the back of the house.
This is at the back looking forward.
On the front?
He wants the EPDM on the front. Oh, I'm talking to him.
Okay, so
So right now, just the EPDM is proposed just for the addition. I don't think the rubber roof would be visible from the front of the house, like dead on from the front right here. But I do think it would be visible from this corner, which is this view seen here. So you would see
I thought it was the
slope
part
here.
to the part that's really white, that's showing the roof part there.
This is the existing house, so it doesn't have an addition on it.
Move your cursor to the left.
Okay.
Keep going, left, 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 left. There,
No,
That's asphalt.
that
No.
is asphalt.
yeah.
Do you want that to be the EPDM?
Oh, no, I do
No.
not. No,
Okay.
that'll match the house with nice.
That was confusing me.
Those
Thank you.
40-year to match is what I'd like to do is match the roof in the back on the garage.
The roofing material, the rubber roofing material is just proposed for the addition. He's not proposing it for the existing structure.
could you please go to whatever drawing shows the addition the best, please? That's the front. And is it the one on the right there as we're looking at this?
Yeah, so this is the view from the rear. This view down here, this is the front.
Okay, so on whichever view shows it best, would you please highlight or run your cursor back and forth on where that EPDM roofing is to be applied?
It would be,
On that, just those two things sticking out on each side,
yeah, and then,
which is basically the addition on the back. So it'd be the 35 feet behind the existing building.
Those two surfaces,
Which you can see from the street.
yeah. And that surface that's facing us, the triangle, that
This?
looks like, it's that part up above. Okay,
That's not to scale, that. That is not to scale at all. That was just to show you it'd be.
okay.
The four.
I'm not seeing the flat surface.
All the way to the top.
Okay, sorry to belabor this, but I just want to make sure I understand.
No, I understand. The drawing's confusing.
Is this the proposed addition?
No,
that is the existing roof.
the height, that of the existing building.
Got it. And this is the proposed addition.
Yes, but I would like, and if I do that, that's what I would like the rubber roofing on. But if you'll allow me to keep the height,
Now, these surfaces
yeah.
here.
But if you allow me to keep the height, I can do shingles if you'll let me just extend the roof out with it and keep the pitch.
And you say this is 2.5, 12?
Yes, yes.
Why not just kick it up a half 12 and put the asphalt shingles on it?
Say that again?
Why not increase the slope to 312 and put the asphalt shingles on it?
Yeah, is 312 enough?
312 is the minimum for asphalt shingles.
Yeah, it's a minimum.
It's the minimum.
Yeah.
But you can look at a 30-year asphalt shingle, look at GAF.
I was gonna do 40-year average.
Yeah.
So I was gonna put the rubber roofing on it, but from 5 to
Excuse me, gentlemen. Can you please come sit back down and talk into your microphones? Thank you.
So, I 312, I'm not very comfortable with that with shingles. And because of my experience I've had, I'd like to get a.
Yeah. Well, fair enough.
The roof that's on there is a 20-year roof that was put on 40 years ago on the 1212. I haven't got a problem with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take everything off and put it all new on.
So then I want to be clear then. So in that drawing, and could you highlight what's shown in cedar, but that's what you're looking at having as EPDM.
So the front, sorry, just to clarify, this front part that's shown as cedar is proposed as cedar. I mean, this is just showing kind of a 2D version of this. So this roof here is proposed to be the rubber roofing.
Right.
The front of it is still the cedar shakes as shown.
And I think where Kenton was going and where I'm agreeing is that if indeed that roof is made steeper, 3.5 plus, then you would be able to use asphalt and you wouldn't need EPDM.
Yes,
Okay,
except
so-
you're an architect. This is your building, and what pitch are you going to put a 40-year shingle on?
I would have a pitch that's steeper than what you have.
And so that's why I'm asking just to extend out the gable of the existing roof out to the west, and then I have plenty of pitch I can use asphalt shingle.
Okay, so the drawing is not correct. What you would prefer to do is what's shown on our drawings here as a dotted line of the roof beyond facing the street. You'd like to take that slope and extend it all the way to the back.
Yeah, that was my first choice, but then we run into this height verification thing that it was, that needed a special exceptions. So now, coming down lower, now I need asphalt shingles. But I need asphalt shingle on that dormer that's existing.
Okay, I'm just asking questions. So how did you go from the existing height to this height that's shown on the drawings? Wouldn't a height in midpoint satisfy both sides? Because what I think staff was wanting is that there would be an existing higher roof and an addition that would be somewhat lower. Well, it doesn't have to be this low. It can be somewhat lower, a little bit lower than the existing. Then it would satisfy the angle of the asphalt shingles, and I think then both sides would be happy.
Well, and then all I would ask is that I can go as steep as possible, so as close to that peak as I can get, if I'm gonna be asked to put asphalt shingles on it. So if I go all the way to the top, it ends up being a 412.
Right. And if you go a foot or so lower than that, see, everything that is shown right now in Cedar, that roof can go up a bit. Let's say halfway from where it's shown to the existing peak. That would give you enough slope to do what you're wanting to do in asphalt.
Well, if I go all the way to the peak, you as an architect, I'm asking you, I guess, is a question. If I go all the way to the peak, I have a 412.
Right.
And
if you're a little bit lower than that, let's say halfway between what the existing peak is shown on that drawing and the proposed peak, then I believe you would get the slope that you need for an asphalt roof.
when you say asphalt, are you saying rolled roofing, or are you saying?
I'm talking about asphalt shingles.
Okay, and you have more experience than me. I just know what I've been battling for over all these decades, and so that's why I'm paranoid about the slope.
So I want to ask Kenton, do you have any other questions? Because I think I understand.
No more questions, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. I do have a question for staff, please. There's a reason why the new roof is lower than the existing roof, correct?
I think, so again, I took this project over from somebody else, but I was involved quite a bit.
I have the answer to that question.
And met with him on site. I do remember the initial plans that were proposed. I don't believe that they were the exact same pitch as the existing roof of the structure. So I believe staff gave them the advice to lower it to match that existing dormer. In order to get the pitch, I think that he wanted and also have, I guess, adequate head space and living room for this building currently has 3 units. Mm-hmm. That's why it was proposed this way, from my understanding. I don't think we would be opposed to having the addition meet the height of the existing roof. But as I remember, as it was initially proposed, the addition was not subordinate and the roof lines did not match, and there wasn't, like, it didn't appear like a dormer the way it was initially designed. I don't know if that helps, but if we do end up going this route, we would need to put in some leeway for the additional height. They're already requesting additional height, and they would potentially need a little bit more in terms of a modification, and I'm not quite sure how much. I'm not quite sure if there's a discrepancy on the plan, but the plan for the addition indicates that it is already a 412 pitch, so I just wanted to point that out.
And that 412 come over.
You have to talk into the microphone.
Yeah, and that 412 number come over from the original drawing that had it sloped from the existing top, and that was 412. And when I just asked him to make these drawings because of our discussion, and so he did that, and he never changed the pitch. Mm-hmm. But you can figure it out too.
All right. I don't have any other questions from staff. Okay. All right. Let's move into public hearing. Are there any comments to this? There would be any comments from community council would be 5 minutes. Any other public comments would be limited to 2. Yes, ma'am. Yes, into the microphone, please.
I'm
can't-
sorry, can you speak directly into that microphone? Oh, it sounds like it turned off. Hold on, just.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bailey. I've been living at 641 North for 3 years now, going on 4. And I came today because our roof is a major problem. You can see the back of the house clearly needs overdone, but the roof is especially an issue. Our landlord is up there fixing it constantly, and when we have one hole patched, another one pops up, and it continues to be an issue all over the house. So that's why I came today. I'm hopeful that we can get it approved to get it fixed. It's an amazing old house. We just need to be able to keep it that way. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Let's go ahead and close the public hearing. And are there any other comments, sir, that you would like to make? Okay.
I'll just be redundant.
All right. So let's move to executive session and close the session to the applicant and to the public. Kenton, I'm gonna pick on you because I think you and I might be in agreement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the solution is pretty straightforward. You increase the pitch to where you can put asphalt shingles on to reassure the applicant to make it a better application. I would completely coat the top of the sheathing, the roof sheathing with ice and water shield bituthane, not just stop at the eave line as most builders do. Completely cover the roof with that, put asphalt shingles on. As long as it's at least a 3 and 12 pitch, you're going to be fine. So I would suggest we send him out with those recommendations.
I don't think any of us have a problem with the height. It's the kind of roofing. It can't be seen from the street in a historic district.
I can come out straight with it, I can.
Hang on. So we have, I think I can speak for both of us, we have used EPDM roofs on multiple office buildings, things like that, where there's a parapet, quarter-inch foot, half-inch per foot, towards the drains with crickets and everything else. But it's really not meant to be seen, and they're behind parapets. I just don't. I agree with what staff had written in here, in that the EPDM would be visible from 2 locations at the corners, and it would really stand out, and that might not be appropriate. Therefore, I think what was been said, that if indeed the pitch of the roof is increased to 3.5 to 12 or thereabouts, then asphalt shingles can be used that match exactly the asphalt shingles that are in the rest of the house. And I think then both sides would be happy in that asphalt shingles work very well. And there can be a 25, 30 plus or minus warranty that I think would work very well. And a warranty could be obtained, with those pitches. Me personally, I have never used an EPDM on anything other than a roof that is virtually flat, a quarter-inch a foot, half-inch a foot, thereabouts, but I've never used it at anything else that's approaching these slopes.
We did a project once where we had EPDM on sloped, but they actually put ribs on it to make it look like a standing seam, and then it had strict fastening requirements as well.
Very much so.
Yeah, but only done that once.
So I'm going to ask for a motion, please, but it's a motion in two parts, because there is, the first part has to do with the variance that was requested concerning height, and the second with regard to the discussion we just had. Could you please?
He doesn't have a motion sheet.
Give me one, I'll do it, or please.
Very good. Wait for just a second.
Like I said, I decided to make a
I think I just saw it.
Did you just see it here?
Yeah, I didn't print it because I'm the chair. I'll do it next time.
Yeah. That's all the procedures. Probably put them together.
Not have it. I didn't print it. All right. Are you looking it up?
I am.
Okay. Bear with us just a second.
I want to review it before we make the motion as to what staff said. So hold on.
Staff recommendations right here.
Meeting packets, June 1. Here we go, minor alteration, and motion sheet. Okay, so motion sheet, I'm not making a motion, I'm just reading it for you, that we approve the request for certificate of appropriateness in part for the proposed rear addition and associated modifications for increased building and wall height. We find the addition generally complies with the standards for approval of blah, 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 blah. Final design details regarding the proposed addition are delegated to planning staff. And based on the analysis and finding the staff report, the information presented, and the input received during the public hearing, I would deny the request for certificate of appropriateness in part for the proposed EPDM rubber roofing material on the addition. So that was a motion in part to approve and deny. Or you can approve the whole thing, or deny the whole thing.
Actually, can I make an observation before we move on to a motion?
Say it again, please.
Can I make an observation before we move on to a motion?
I was just
Okay.
reading what they said.
I do have some concerns. I understand what has been discussed relative to shingles and roof pitch. Just looking at this, and if it was a 2 to 12 pitch, then you'd have about 6 increments of run for every bit of rise. And just looking at the dimensions on that image, it looks closer to a 4 to 12, because you have about 3 increments of run for every rise. So I'm not entirely sure that that's actually a 2.5 to 12 pitch that's shown in the drawing, even if the drawing's been updated and the what's reflected in the roof pitch symbol is incorrect. So I'm a little concerned about that. I would also note that I think that if I understood correctly, the reason for this pitch was to reflect the pitch of the dormer on the south side, so that when you're looking at the building in elevation, you would have a consistent view and you wouldn't see anything other than the additional roof, other than the slope on the north side, to mimic the dormer on the south side. So adding a little height, I'm not entirely clear also what that would do, other than adding more additional roof visibility. So I understand what's been discussed. I'm not entirely sure that we have an issue here, unless the drawing is totally incorrect. The other thing I would note is we have a white EMDP roof, and it's great because it's flat, but white is extremely reflective in the summer, and that's something that's usually not recognized, especially on sloped roofs, that it is very noticeable and can be an issue for that reason aesthetically. That's all I have.
I agree with you. The issue is really the rubber roof and the visibility of that. We just don't allow that. The rest of it can be worked out, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, though. The we should be seeing drawings that are accurate and up to date and have accurate information on them. And
Well, with this, under the proposed motion, final design details regarding the proposed addition can be delegated to staff?
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Planning staff, it says planning. Do we want our staff or planning? Who do you want?
Planning staff.
Don't want any part of this? Okay.
Kenton, are you looking at the motion?
I'm just trying to find the motion.
All righty. What is going on that there's all this applause? Is it for us? All right.
There's some happiness somewhere.
All right. With respect to application PLNHL C 2021-00508, request for a certificate of appropriateness for a rear addition at 641 North 2nd West. Based on the analysis and findings in the staff report, the information presented, and the input received during the public hearing, I move that the Historic Landmark Commission approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness in part for the proposed rear addition and associated modifications for increased building and wall height. The Commission finds the addition generally complies with the standards of approval for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations to a contributing structure in Section 21A.34.020.g of the zoning ordinance. Final design details and final height of the proposed addition roof are delegated to planning staff. And based on the analysis and findings in the staff report, the information presented, and the input received during the public hearing, I move that the Historic Landmark Commission deny the request for a certificate of appropriateness in part for the proposed EPDM rubber roofing material on the addition. The Commission finds the proposed EPDM rubber roofing material fails to substantially comply with the standards of approval for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations to a contributing structure in 21A.34.020.g. Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Very well. Any discussion? Then let's go ahead and vote. I'll go in order. Babs?
Aye.
Kenton?
Aye.
Carlton?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
And Mike Vella, aye. So the motion passes unanimously. Very good. Very good. Thank you, sir. All right, we'll move to the next, which is a major alteration at approximately 511 South, 500 East.
Commission members, this is Joshua Biggs. He's one of our new planning staff members.
Oh, it's so bright and shiny and happy.
Welcome.
So happy because we
Nice to
are
meet everyone. And I was told to speak right into the microphone, so that's what I'll do, Babs.
Thank you.
So with further ado, just thought I'd introduce him. You will see him more often.
Do you want me to say a few words about myself, Michaela? You want me to say a few words about myself?
No, it's okay.
What's that?
It's up to you.
Yeah, all right. That's all right. I'm sure you'll get to know me, so.
You can say anything you'd like about yourself, Joshua.
Well, I will say I went to grad school at the University of Utah for architectural studies with a focus in historic preservation. So historic preservation is something that I really like, I care about. It's something that I think about a lot, and so it's wonderful to be able to do preservation work as part of my career now. I moved here in October from Indianapolis, Indiana, where I was working for a historic preservation nonprofit. but I'm grateful to be here. And this is my first public hearing here in Salt Lake. I'm just going to make sure this works okay.
Thanks, Josh.
Looks like you froze.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Hold on.
Well, that's because it's your first meeting.
Exactly, yeah.
Sorry. This is where you have to do your presentation by heart, Josh.
Right.
Oh, I remember, Babs. Thank you. I do.
All right.
Is it good? I can give you my computer if you really need it.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Commissioners, my name is Joshua Biggs. I'm an associate planner here in Salt Lake. This is a major alteration for a historic commercial building at approximately 511 South 500 East. Here is the west elevation of the subject property. It's a commercial building which is connected to a historic single-family home. Staff is recommending approval of the project with the conditions listed in the staff report and the motion sheet, which you should have. Here is an overview of the subject property. It's located on the southeast corner of 500 South and 500 East. It's a contributing building in the Central City Local Historic District. It's located in the CN Neighborhood Commercial Zoning District. And again, the request is for a commercial addition on what we estimate is a circa 1900 single-family residence. And we estimate that the date of construction for the commercial building was 1940. And historically, this was known as Hale's Food Market. Here is an overview showing the elevations on the north and the west sides. There will be no proposed changes to the existing home on site as part of this application. As part of the proposal, the applicant has proposed to remove the existing very short glass block windows to install larger storefront windows and doors. The proposal also calls to remove the existing entry doors, which are considered character-defining features of the structure, to fill in the existing southernmost window on the west facade and install a wooden sign. One of the larger alterations was to remove the existing stucco and replace it like for like with a traditional hard coat stucco. On the west and north sides of the just outside of the west property line, and then on the north side of the property, the plans call to install outdoor dining, and this is subject to an encroachment permit for the west dining area. And then lastly, to install canopies on the west facade, and this is also subject to an encroachment permit from the city of Salt Lake. Here's a site plan and a floor plan of the proposed, it's a proposed restaurant. The blue areas, the blue squares and square and rectangle show the proposed outdoor dining. The red arrows show the proposed locations of new doors and windows. The yellow arrow shows the location of the proposed sign. And then the green rectangle on the bottom portion of the screen shows the proposed parking area, which I believe is 7 stalls of parking. Mm-hmm. Here is the north elevation. As you can see, it's the historic single-family home that's attached to the historic commercial building, and then an enlarged elevation showing the north elevation as well.
Isn't that where the outside dining is proposed?
Yes,
that yard? That part of the yard?
Yes. Okay. So that existing fence right there is outside of the property lines. They're proposing to put in a new fence, which will be at the north, east, and west property lines, and then the outdoor dining will be within that area. Again, here's the west elevation. This is where much of the changes will take place, as this is the longest visible portion of the facade. And then you can see the proposed elevations, or the elevation showing the proposed changes on the west facade as well. Here is the sign proposal. It's a wooden sign. It's proposed to be backlit. The sign does meet the standards found within the zoning standards. And then here are a couple historic photographs of the building. We believe that initially the building was constructed as what's shown here on the left as a wood frame building. It has that really interesting kind of Old West style false front. And then it was remodeled substantially. We believe remodeled. I don't believe it was torn down, but we believe to be remodeled substantially into the Art Moderne style that you see on the right-hand side. And you see that really neat sign. And those doors that are shown, we believe to be the doors that are extant on the building today. Finally, staff is recommending that the Historic Landmark Commission approve the proposal to remove the existing windows on the building, the shortened glass block windows, install new doors and larger storefront windows, install canopies, outdoor dining, and replace existing stucco like for like with the conditions listed in the staff report and motion sheet.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Very good.
What does like for like mean on this? Because, for example, I love the Art Moderne front to this.
I do too.
So what is like for like? Does that mean they got to go that way?
The like for like is just in regards to the stucco. I actually proposed them installing kind of the curved modern style windows, and that was cited to be cost prohibitive.
Well, they don't. No, you can use square windows. You just cut out in front of it, put in front of it the round. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can build in front of it that's rounded like that and keep some style that way, although
Right.
they'll never listen to that, so we'll move on.
And anyway, the like for like in regards to the stucco was in regards to it needed to be a traditional hard coat stucco, needed to be installed in a traditional 3-part installation method, and then it needed to have the same finish texture as what's on the building currently.
Has no personality this way. But in the meantime, what is Victor's restaurant? What kind of restaurant is this?
It'll be tacos.
Of course.
I believe it's the same. It's Victor Galindo, and I believe it's the same Victor that owns Victor's Tires.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They've been very responsive and amenable to working with us. They actually initially had proposed a very thin brick veneer on the building, and that wasn't in harmony with the design guidelines because the current structure does have the stucco, and that is a historic feature of the property.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any questions for staff?
I'm curious about, can you still push this? Yes. I'm curious about the outdoor patio area, and that faces onto 5th South, correct?
South and 5th East.
Right, okay.
The fifth east outdoor dining will be outside of, because I believe the west side, that property line is right against the building, so they'll need an encroachment permit from the city in order to install that. They can't block the sidewalks. And then on the north side, they're planning on paving within the property lines and putting the outdoor dining there, and that does adhere to our zoning standards.
Okay.
So.
Looks nice. I mean, I'm picturing a big slab of concrete. I'm hoping it has a little more personality than that.
Well, I'm not sure what they're planning on proposing outside of the property lines, but I would imagine that would probably stay landscaping.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Is the applicant here?
Nope.
The applicant and the owner were both invited. Unfortunately, neither of them were able to make it, but they were invited.
All right. Very good. Let's open to a public hearing, limited to 5 minutes on the community council side and 2 minutes for the public. And Cindy, I think you wanted to make a comment.
Oh, these are heavy chairs, you know? So, first of all, this is the block that I talked to you about before regarding the redevelopment of the Western Garden site. I took you on a tour around this block. This is a fabulous block in the Central City Historic District with a tremendous number of historic resources. This is one of them, Hales Market. And this afternoon, I sent you a page from the design guidelines for commercial buildings that addresses specifically house stores as a building type. This is a house store, a commercial structure attached after the fact to a house. I happen to own one. You walk through the dining room, and you're in the commercial part. It's very interesting. So when I started down here tonight, dadgummit, I was 100% positive about this project. And then I looped past the site, and I realized that there is a mature chestnut tree right in front of the house that is going to get removed by this outdoor dining. It is very healthy. It is wrapping up its bloom season. It's a bit close to the house in terms of where you like trees relative to houses, but it is close to the house in the sense that it's not encroaching on a huge amount on the potential dining space. Chestnut trees are not the best to dine under because they drop their blooms and then they drop their chestnut. Yes. So
The giving tree.
yes. So I now have real concerns because the 500 South corridor is so bleak in terms of mature trees about the loss of this tree, and I don't know how to mitigate that. Otherwise, I'm very positive about this proposal. I think what it is doing in terms of its fenestration is going close to the 1942 version of the commercial building, and I don't really have a problem with that. I will also tell you, as the owner of a house store, the current configuration of fenestration does not lend itself to many adaptive reuses except maybe photographic darkrooms. So, you have to think about, well, how are you going to reuse this building? And it doesn't have a future as a small grocery store, and it would not be a good idea to make it a convenience store for a whole lot of reasons. And so I think you have to look at how changing the fenestration opens up some other possibilities for adaptive reuse, and this proposal does take it back to more like the fenestration that it had in 1942, the original frame structure that was described by staff as a Western kind of storefront. So really it comes down to, my concern is the tree, which is part of the character of the house portion of the property. It is all zoned.
Do you have a picture? Can you pull that
CN,
back
and there
up?
are numerous pictures of this tree. Once you see the tree, you see the tree.
Sorry, Babs, what were you looking for?
The tree.
The tree.
So if you show the front facade of the house, there it is. It's big.
So if we kept the tree, if we suggested they keep the tree, would that take out the outside dining? Is there room? You were the only one that has noticed this, so.
That's not uncommon, Babs, as you
That's
know.
fine.
So it would not take out all of it. I don't know how many tables it would encroach on, because I don't know where, the tree is not located on any of the plans.
It looks like about 3 tables might be.
So, but
Josh, is that tree retained?
there's,
Is that in our purview that we can talk about this or recommend anything about trees here?
No,
No?
not unless it's like a species tree. But I mean, if we want to keep the tree, I mean, I wonder if they just stamped little, when they were making up these plans, they didn't just move the tables just a little bit more south and you could keep the tree.
I would think you'd be able to work around that tree and maybe not lose more than one table. And that's what umbrellas are for, to keep the chestnuts out of your salads. I would definitely be in favor of working around the tree if there's any way possible. Trees don't grow like that every day.
I don't have a problem arguing that on this block, a tree of that size is a significant part of the character of what used to be more low-density residential. So I don't have a problem saying it's part of the historic fabric. Planning is not used to regulating trees. I'm used to defending them. So there you have it. Thanks.
Good.
Thank you.
Very good.
Tree hugger. Oh, sorry.
Are there any other comments from the
No.
public?
That was great.
Okay. Seeing none, let's go ahead and close the public hearing. I want to ask some questions. Michaela, The tree is not in our purview, or is in our purview.
No, it's not in our purview unless it was identified as a specimen tree
Okay.
in the zoning ordinance. We were just discussing whether there was a fence, Josh, on that site plan. Can you pull up
A fence?
Yeah,
There should be.
it is the fence
Yeah, I'm sorry. And
beyond,
the fence, if you can see my cursor, the fence will be, well, first off, here is the existing fence right here. This is outside of the property lines. The current fence will be on the west, north, and east property lines right here to have the outdoor dining inside of it.
right.
And I'm guessing the tree is probably somewhere right around here.
I think just a little bit to the left of that, I think.
Okay.
It's right in that area, and it would affect the table and chair count.
Yeah.
So it's not in our purview, but can we mention it?
Well, what I
we can
suggest is that I
definitely
think these
encourage it.
drawings are insufficient. They aren't providing us with all of the information that we need to make an intelligent decision. I think if the tree is to be cut down, and this is a complete submission, we need a dotted line saying existing tree to be removed. But that's not there. If the tree is to remain, I'd like to see where it is. Is there...
There's been no indication from the applicant that the tree will remain.
Right.
But they did call out that area will be concrete. They'll put concrete in place of the current landscaping in order to accommodate the outdoor dining.
Yeah, I'd suggest that that's part of the whole historic character, how that landscaped area is dealt with, and simply putting down a slab of concrete, irregardless of landscaping, makes me less excited about what's otherwise a good application. But I can't make that decision because I don't know where the tree is or what's the plan for it. I'm kind of trying to work this.
So,
if you
Joshua, I
will.
have a question then. You said that the applicant is intending to keep the tree?
No, they are, as far as I'm aware, they are not intending on keeping the tree.
Well, maybe if they want to cut down the tree, we tell them they have to do the Art Moderne design.
The tree is not in our purview, but I will say that if the tree were to remain, and they concreted around it, then all you're doing is delaying the death of the tree. So
Yeah, I was concerned about that as well.
hang on, just a tree that size, you're really protecting the drip line of the tree, and the only way to get water into all of that drip line is to have a porous material, a wood, a Trex, or something that has openings in it. So when it does rain or when you irrigate, then you're irrigating not just the base of the tree but the entire drip line. If indeed it's not in our purview, then it's not in our purview, and we can't. We can all have opinions, but that's not for something we would do. If we were allowed to voice our opinions, I think there's at least 4 of us that would want to keep the tree and would want to have paving that would keep the tree viable. Okay, but that's not in our purview. So
The concrete area is within our purview, correct?
the concrete
Right.
area.
And the material that would be proposed there, a slab of concrete versus other permeable surfaces or pavers that would allow for the water to get to the tree, so that wouldn't have to be taken down if they chose something besides concrete?
I see your point.
The site features are within your purview. The site features are within your purview, right? Like the concrete and the fencing and that.
Yeah, concrete is a general rule. A slab of concrete is, I would say, not the first choice in general.
I agree with you, so figure out how to word it.
I would consider a different type of material for the outdoor dining space that would allow for the retention of the very old, I would say, historic tree that would maintain the character of the neighborhood, which is ultimately what we're trying to address here, are we not?
I think even ignoring the tree, just an historical landscape application wouldn't be 600 square feet of concrete slab. We would, as part of this approval, say they need to work with staff on getting some sort of paving that's more appropriate historically and allows some permeability for the soil. If we can't technically require them to keep the tree, we can at least require them to help keep the permeability of the soil, reduce runoff, reduce heat island effect, and perhaps we can throw in an aside, encourage them to keep the existing tree to provide a more what would you call it? A sheltered dining area and reduce heating loads on the building, which isn't a historical thing. But I guess all that is just on the level of suggestion, everything beyond the paving surface.
And it's a shame that the applicant isn't here to hear all of this, because in all likelihood, there's going to be some kind of shading device over the tables.
Right.
That's going to be planned. And were the applicant here, we might say, we would consider leaving the tree, certainly having some kind of shading umbrellas or things like that, and paving material that would keep the tree viable. So I'm asking for a little bit of help, Michaela, in that the tree is not in our purview. We can make suggestions, and we can make suggestions concerning the paving material. But I think 600 square feet of concrete could be made to look appropriate, where with a series of jointing and broom finish and a checkerboard pattern or any one of a number of things. But that's a design issue, and I think we're not going to design this plaza for this applicant. I think we can make recommendations, but they're only recommendations, and what we're here to do is to review what staff has recommended. And what staff has recommended is that I'll just read what you've recommended, is that we should approve a certificate of appropriateness in part, excuse me, wrong one, that we should approve what is, there you go, that planning and staff recommends that the Historic Landmark Commission approve the major alteration request with the conditions listed below, and there's two additions to that you listed, and has to do with like for like, with which we talked about previously concerning the stucco, and the final design details would be delegated to the planning staff. Now, we can make suggestions, but they're only suggestions. We're only here to respond to the recommendation that staff has made. Okay? So, commissioners, any other comments? Can we hear a motion, please?
I just want to thank Cindy for pointing that out. Yes, it is your job.
And Mike, just to comment, I think technically you're right, but I was hoping we could follow in the footsteps of the Supreme Court of the U.S. and just go way beyond the letter of the law. Yeah.
All right. So, commissioners, do I have a motion, please?
It's either you or you.
Yeah.
So we're,
Do you have the motion?
yes, I do.
Yes, go ahead.
Is it, I just want to make sure that we don't, with the modified conditions, or just this one?
Consistent with staff
It is
recommendation.
consistent, okay. All right. All right, for my first motion, for PLN HLC 2022-00164, major alterations at approximately 511 South, 500 East. I want to make, based on the findings listed in the staff report, the information presented, and input received during public hearing, I move that the Historic Landmarks Commission approve the minor alteration petition PLNH LC 2022-00164, as proposed, subject to complying with the conditions listed in the staff report. 1, being all replacement stucco shall be replaced like for like using traditional stucco and 3-part application method, as well as the same finish texture. And number 2, that the final design details are delegated to planning staff.
Commissioners, any modifications to the proposal, the motion that's been made?
I'll second that motion.
Very well. The motion has been proposed and seconded. Let's go in order, please. Babs?
I just have a question. Did we amend something about the paving, or?
We did not.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Amanda, I'd like to propose, in addition to that, saying we would recommend that the paving of the outside dining area be done in a manner which reflects historical tradition, and it's done in such a way that, how would I put this, that that a permeable paving is used and designed and installed in such a manner as to respect the historical design of historic courtyards, and and allows and allows water to enter the soil to hopefully save the existing tree.
Good job.
I think we can work with that.
Great.
Okay.
So,
And I'm willing to work with the applicant as well to see if they would be willing to make some adjustments.
you made the motion. You have to accept the amendment.
The amendment.
So, do I need to repeat it also? I accept the amendment to the motion.
Very well. Commissioners, are we ready to vote then? Very good. Let's go in order. Babs?
Aye.
Kenton?
Aye.
Carlton?
No.
All right. Would you care to elaborate?
Under these particular circumstances, I don't think that it's appropriate to insert.
I can't hear.
What?
A little bit louder, please.
Oh, under these particular circumstances, I don't think that it's appropriate to insert a recommendation on something that is vague in this nature.
All right. Then what that means is that we go to the original motion as you raised it, Amanda, and that the original motion without the modifications that were talked about would be taken out, so that the original motion as you read it, I would need a second to that motion.
What?
Did you second the motion, the first motion,
No.
Carlton?
Did not.
Okay.
I seconded
So I
the
don't think
first
we need to
motion.
go back to the first motion. Someone else just needs to second the amendment after she accepted it.
Well, Carlton objected to it.
But he wasn't the original motion maker.
So,
All right,
So
can we take a break for a sec?
Clarification is,
Can we hold on for a second?
We never supported you in prostituting our children.
bye-bye.
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 Okay, that's great. Keep going. Don't interrupt your bitches. Keep going. You don't have a cane? Okay. We never voted for you, Nina Salem, bitch. I never voted for you. Goodbye. Thank you. No pay, 300,000.
Wow. I'm sorry, Michaela. Do you need me to step in? Because I will.
No.
So let's clarify here, but we got to get Michaela back in the room, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my.
So all the meetings go, right?
Yeah, usually, yeah. We just sort of
Well, here's my understanding.
track that.
There was a motion made, and it was modified. You accepted the modification. We voted. And there was an objection to the modification that was made.
But it still passed.
It was a no, not a modification.
It was a no.
It was a no, we just didn't finish the vote.
Right. We didn't finish the vote.
Okay.
I think if we,
So we're currently at 3 ayes and a nay.
And I've yet to vote.
Right.
Okay.
It's the majority of those present, though. So if you vote, well, regardless, with 3 of the quorum present, it would still pass, right?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
and you're just saying that it's not appropriate.
But I
to-
guess, now,
No problem, it
Is
passes.
that the one
Right.
you used?
Yeah.
Okay,
So let's complete this, please.
okay.
So
Can
I
we
will
wait until
vote.
Michaela gets back, or?
All
We
right,
have to get
fair enough.
Michaela or what's her, Aubrey back.
I think Babs and I should go. I don't know, but I've been going to a lot of meetings for 40 years, and this was unique.
Come on, you thought it.
And just check on Michaela. Yep, hold on.
I, for one, like Michaela. It's just a brief recess.
This is not normal, Joshua.
That was accepted. Did you vote on that?
Yes.
I didn't get a sense to say aye.
Yes. Aye, no, I'm voting.
Aye, aye.
So the vote was 4-1.
4-1, so it passes. Okay. Then we're done with that one. It passed.
Thank you. Do we need an escort out of the building?
She's been escorted out of the building.
Thank you. What else is on the agenda, Herr Chairman?
There was, excuse me, there's
Thanks,
one.
kid. You had the best one ever. That's a good
Thanks,
start.
everyone.
The last business, the last bit of business is unfinished business, update to policies and procedures.
I love policies and procedures, don't you?
I don't really have anything to present, but if you recall, the state has some new requirements to make sure that we're allowed to, that all the commissions in the state need to be able to update their policies and procedures so that we have the right language in there to run electronic meetings. Another change is that the chair can actually vote as well. The Planning Commission had the same, we've brought changes to the Planning Commission to also make that change, and those were adopted. And then, if you recall at our last meeting, there was a discussion of making sure that the policies and procedures say that elections are held yearly, but that there could be 2 consecutive terms of a chair and a vice chair if they wanted to serve again, and the commission said, hey, you had 1 year to, get it under your belt, you rock it. Whatever reason you all would have to continue on, and if the chair and the vice chair were willing to do so, great. the policies and procedures would just give a 2-year limit. So I highlighted that 2-year limit for the chair and the vice chair. Sorry, 2-term.
Right.
Blah, blah. 2-term, yes, 2-term limit. Just to show that that was the newest addition to the policies and procedures for you all to consider. That's kind of all I really have. Just looking for a motion, or if there are any other changes.
No, those were the changes that I had as well in my notes.
Do you want that to be a motion?
Yes, you would need to, we need to post it on the agenda if we make changes to the policies and procedures, and we need a motion. Yes?
Okay. So as I note, there's two items here, and that's the term limits for the chair and the vice chair, as noted, and the ability of the chair to vote as needed.
I'll make the motion if you give. I'd love to make a motion.
Well, please do.
Okay. I would like to move that under policies and procedures, that the term limits for the chair and vice chair are 2 consecutive terms.
Yes, it's actually in the actual draft of the policies and procedures as well. So I'm just asking you to make a motion to accept the proposed changes.
I move to accept the proposed changes to the policies and procedures as presented tonight.
Thank you.
Second?
I'll second that.
No, I'm asking for a second. Very well. Let's vote in order, please. Is there any discussion on this item, commissioners? Very good. Let's vote in order. Babs?
Aye.
Kenton?
Aye.
Carlton?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
And Michael Vella? Aye.
Thank you. Yes, that is so helpful.
Excuse me.
Thank you. No,
I
thank you.
believe we have covered the business that we had in tonight's meeting.
Yes.
And I want to, therefore, close this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.